Welcome back. If you're new here, this is Self Mastery Labs, and this is really raw, unedited. These are experimentations in self-mastery from the ground up. I am personally endeavoring in everything that I'm talking about here, and I'm gonna just share everything with you along the way. Successes, failures, difficulties, obstacles, I'm putting together step by step, day by day, a plan for real change, real self-mastery, finally getting my life the way that I want it, and figuring that out and then sharing it. Hopefully it'll be useful for you in your journey and whatever you do and whatever choices you make. Everybody's path will be a little different, but this is kind of like a lecture series in a way. It's an experimentation. It's meant to be like that. It's meant for you to understand some of my thought processes, and hopefully that sheds light on what I think is a necessary core ingredient to everybody's process, which is that effort, that foundation building, the time spent on laying the groundwork. And it takes this kind of introspection, whether you're in front of a camera or you're by yourself. You got to do this work before you go down paths. You don't want to spend too much time there because, as we all know, there are plenty of people that plan things and never do things. And especially in the self-help world, self-mastery, self-improvement world, that's a big trap. So you don't want to stay there long, but you got to make a plan that can evolve, build systems, know and get clarity on what you want, what you're going after, what you care about, what you believe in. Get clarity on all those things so you can make choices on the paths that you want to go down, and you can just start chipping away at them. It really is that simple. It's like, just make some choices. You actually know what you want, what you like, what you love, when you feel good, So it's pretty simple. It's just that we don't spend time on this stuff. We're never taught to, and we just get caught up in what other people tell us to do in our lives, and what we're brought up, what our parents want us to do, what our teachers want us to do, what society tells us we should do. And a lot of times you don't stop and think about, what do you want? Where can you contribute the most? And so that's what we're doing here from the ground up. So today I want to go back to the core foundations. I've revised it a little bit, and that's part of this process, this organic process, is that as you push, you're going to realize that you may need to change things. A few days ago, the self-mastery foundations, the first 4 steps were just 4 steps, and now I've split them out into 6. The biggest thing is, originally, the first steps were, what is my why? What is your why? What is your belief system? What do you believe in? And then that was combined. And I think that needs to be separated. I think you're, asking yourself, what do you believe in? What do you believe in? You may not believe in anything, but that is something to believe in. At least know that, spend a little time with it. That's your top. Everything else is going to be informed by that. So I think, what do you believe in is first. Whatever life experience you have so far, you want to examine and and then decide based on your life experiences and everything you've felt, everything you've seen, everything you've done, what do you believe in? That may change over time. I'm definitely reviewing it right now. I'm doing it every day. I've got it, in my journal. I have a statement, and I write it down every day, and it may evolve a little bit over time as I do more and more things, especially as I go down the path of the things that I'm trying to achieve and do. So what do you believe in? Spend some time on that. It can be, for me, it's more like, I believe in that there are some kind of larger consciousness that I can't see or understand. Source, God, whatever you want to call it. I believe that there is some deeper meaning. At this stage, I'm going to give whatever that creator, the source, the infinite, the unbound, even if it's not, I don't even need it to be, one thing. I think it can be something that I can't understand, but there is something larger than myself. And I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt that it's good. That's my belief right now, that it's good, that it's, and I toil with it, I look at it, because even when I say that, I'm like, well, there's many things. There's good, well, bad exists and hurt exists, and, so where does that come from? Is it all one thing, one infinite thing? So I'm looking at that, but I believe there is a source, and that's my ultimate belief system now, and I'm gonna do work to have it evolve. 2, what is your why, large and small, that feeds your belief? So, to ask yourself, like, your bigger picture why. For me, what's exciting and interesting on the larger scale really is like, oh, this is cool. I mean, like, I'm going to, through all the things that I do, my why is to seek source. Through all my senses, through every way that I can, see, feel, hear, taste, touch, all my senses, and then further the jump to like, are my feelings, my emotions, is that something that I can connect stronger with source? The biggest feelings that you have in life, the love for your kids, does that connect you if you have kids? The love for whatever love you feel, your parents, whatever love you feel. So, like, just using that as an example, I'm excited by what is my bigger picture why? Connect, everything that I do, I'm seeking a better understanding of my belief system, number one. So it ties in perfectly. Small just means, like, on a smaller scale, what's my why? And that I'm personally going to have to do some work on, but I have some things that are on the top of my list that still connect, like family, maximizing my relationships with my family, my core family, my nuclear family, and my extended family and friends, and that still ties into my why. But I'm going to further develop that as well. Handing off the baton to doing everything I can to explore, to hand off the baton, while I'm going through this journey, now in this moment, in every moment, with my kids, with others, how can I give everything I can that is positive, is a why of mine. It's just a choice to, I'm here, and that's the way I'd like to go, is to, and is that a powerful enough why to drive all the things I'm about to do? I think I need to get more specific, more clear on it. And I encourage you to do the same. But for now, let's keep moving on. I think you get the idea on that. What do you want that will feed pillars 1 and 2? So this is, this is like, all the things that you have always wanted in your life. Start a business, maybe that you haven't gotten there. Maybe you have, but you're midway through, you want to improve it. Whatever you want. How much money do you want to feel safe and secure and comfortable, get really specific. What kind of, life do you want with friends, with family? What kind of knowledge do you want? What's important to you? What kind of fun do you want to have? So I personally, there are two important things that go along with this question. What do you want that will feed 1 and 2? Why? And what does it look and feel like? Okay, so this is super important, and these questions I found really great to get specific on it. Why? Why do I want what I want? And that forces you to make sure what you're putting down is genuine. It's not, as well as the feeling like, what does it feel like? What does it look like? Like when you ask yourself those questions, it like filters it, and I think it really will cause you to understand whether it's something that doesn't carry a lot of strength or depth in what you really want. Maybe it's something somebody told you should want. So I find that to be a really great question. I'll go through a couple examples here. I want to be physically fit and strong, as physically fit and strong as I can be. Why? Well, I was an athlete when I was younger, very young, I've always got a lot of pleasure out of feeling physically strong. I've gone through many ups and downs. I'm sure many of you can relate in terms of like going through years and years of no exercising. This is different for me than like health. This is actually really being an expert on fitness, and then choosing a few sports that I play regularly. So I have that as a very specific thing. And then if I imagine what does it look like, I can really, it does match and make me and feel like, I really want to get that kind of enjoyment that I can then share with others, and that will help me move through things in a way that generates a lot of positivity and good energy. And it ties into everything else as well. I want the best relationship I can possibly have with my kids. Why? Because it's me passing the baton in a way. It's the love generating, the depth of relationship that feeds into, the top pillars. I want to learn about them. I want to be able to learn from them. I want to share with them everything I've learned along the way. I want to teach them to think for themselves, et cetera, et cetera. I want to share all the good things that I think are possible in this existence. So, what does that look like? I imagine, spending just time, playing games, having deep talks, them being able to come to me when they need something, which happens now to an extent. It's just, there's being conscious of it and being intentional with everything that's massively important, I think, is a far better choice. So those are just two examples. I'm gonna make a separate video going over, right now I have 31 actually, and I'm gonna go into more depth on this, just giving my examples, and then you can get a better understanding of the time that it's gonna take to get into these things. So once you've got what do you want, and you can really like map out, if you could have everything in your life, like great relationship with your family, your kids, the amount of friends that you want, what do those friends look like? How do they support you? How do you support them? How is that different from what you have now? How much money do you have in the bank? That, what do you do? Is it the job that you're in now? Is it the business that you have now? Is it something different? What do you want to get involved in? What kind of community service do you want to do, if that's what you want to do? What kind of subjects do you want to get into extracurricularly? Do you want to be involved in sport? Like things that could feed you and build your energy and build that ability to give back. Ask yourself, what is everything that you want, everything that you've always wanted to do, and write it down and ask yourself why, and ask yourself what it looks like. And that will lead to a few other things, and it could be a lot. I'm going full, so I'm gonna write out my perfect, what do I want? Everything, right? Are you gonna be able to do everything right away? Probably not, but being specific about what you want, and then once you get a little further down, choosing the things that the low-hanging fruit, the things that you can chip away at. You could probably chip away at everything if you make it all tiny enough. I have one thing that I want to be a master. I want to be an expert at meditation, as much as one can be. I'm not now at all. I mean, I dabbled with it a tiny bit on my own, but it's one of those things that, especially if you're doing a lot and you're ambitious, and being able to calm your nervous system, being able to have that ability to clear your mind and to just be as present in the moment as you can possibly be, is a skill. It's a muscle, and it has been written about for thousands of years that it's one of the most powerful and effective things any human can do. It's been written about enough so that it has so many dramatically positive effects that it just seems very probable that it's massively useful, and that's in my experience as well. And the tiny bit that I've dabbled in it, I'm feeling that as well. So that's one of my things, that answers the why, and then imagining myself, with meditation, I can see myself in that world, doing a lot, achieving a lot, spending the time that I want with people and organizing my time well, and then being able to go off and settle my body and my mind when I need to, just for 10, 15 minutes. I can imagine that, and being in control of that, and feeling like, oh, this is one of my tools. This is one of the things that I use that really feeds all of these things that I'm doing, and then ties directly back in also to my top, goals, whys, beliefs. So now, number 4, what character traits do you want to embody that feeds 1 through 3 above? I think this is super important as well to spend time with. And I think this is something that I don't think people talk about very much. I don't hear people going, unless you I think there's a lot of religions and church, and there's a lot of places where they value and talk about your character and your values and the character traits that you use, but I just think it's underappreciated, under talked about. I mean, I think it should probably be studied in school beginning at a young age, understanding you can choose some of the character traits that you have. You can develop them. You can build them. I could think of any number, but like Dependability, right? It's a character trait. Do you consider yourself, would someone define you as dependable? Is it useful? Do you want to be that? What does that look like? When you say you're going to be somewhere, you show up. Maybe you show up, you're always early. How does that affect your life? So many people think these things are just out of their control, even if they started, this way in their life, from a young age, and their family taught it to them, and they don't have time management skills. I'm one of those people, and I think you can absolutely get specific on why you want that and have it tie in and go after it. You don't have to go after that character trait, but character traits can also be more aligned with morals and values. So do you consider yourself an honorable person? Do you value honor? And what does that look like? No one talks about that, it's but when you see it, I don't know anyone that doesn't see a kid do something like super respectful or honorable in some way, maybe with their friends, that's not selfish, and you're just wowed by it, you'll see stuff online. I saw this Instagram post where it was a shot of a baseball stadium, and there are these kids, this big group of friends, and there's this one kid standing there, and you can see the home run was hit and the ball is coming towards them, and there's this one kid that's like this, and then the other kid, the kid behind him is just hoping his friend gets it, and then when he gets it, when the kid gets it, his friend is just yeah, and patting his friend on the back and just so pumped that his friend got it. Or actually, it probably wasn't a home run that was hit. It was probably they were throwing a ball to them, the group of kids, and he was pointing to his friend, and then when his friend got the ball, he was just going nuts, so pumped that his friend, just a seemingly selfless act, and that touches most of us, right? So it's okay, what is it in there that is just something that charges us all up, that I'm not saying all of us, maybe you're not charged up by that, but that spreads good, right? It's the act itself, that kid that got the ball and then his friends were, backed him, that improved his life, that improved everybody's life around it. And then further, whoever videotaped it then put it out there. And then it reminds us of a lot of the things that make this life worthwhile. So those traits, and then what can you find in there? How can you define it that's a trait? Do you want to be that kid that was so happy for his friend? And this is important because as this will tie into your wants, because as you go after your wants, you're going to be faced with a lot of situations, maybe some where you need to be selfish and you got to spend time on something, and you've got to not spend time with a person, that you care about or may not, you got to make these decisions. So you need to understand what's important to you with your character traits, and I suppose even further with your morals and values, which is maybe something that I'm going to consider putting in these as pillars. Is it's not a cool thing to think about. Nobody was what are your morals? Ask nobody wants to hear that. I don't know anybody. My kids would cringe at me if I was list out what morals, But at a certain point in your life, you're fuck it, I don't care. I do want to understand this, because these things actually I would like these to be defined. I'd like to, go through my life and have people go, here's what, it's easy to pinpoint what my values and morals are. And it's a struggle. It's getting fit, right? It's not these things are easy. and they shouldn't be thought of that way. And we should have compassion for each other, you know, and understanding, given the situation people are in. If they seem to do something that may seem selfish, and maybe they are going through moments of weakness, and like, you know, where so yeah, that's a different topic, but you get what I'm saying. What character traits do you want to embody the feed 1 through 3? How do these tie into values, morals? All right. So you gotta figure out, you know, how you want to be defined. And I think it can be, you know, fun stuff like gritty, you know, grit, being, you know, resourceful, strength, you know, define your character. If somebody else were to look at your life and define you, your character traits, what would the top 10 be? And then what are they now? And that's fine, whatever they are. What do you want them to be? Because it's gonna drastically inform how you approach everything. All right. I added this as well. So there used to be 4 for the first steps. Now our number 5, I added this. What emotions do you want to wield in yourself and in others that will feed pillars 1 through 4? This is also something that's I just don't think it's talked about at all. And the knowledge that your state of being is not totally controllable, right? Your emotions, your feelings, they're not totally controllable. But to some extent, they absolutely are. If you take, depending on the actions that you take, certain emotions are going to come up, right? If you put yourself in situations, if you start to understand that the situations, the people, the things that you involve yourself with are going to make you feel a certain way. If you're around a certain person that demeans you, and you have a choice whether to be around that person or not, and you continually choose to be around that person, well, then you're going to put yourself in a place where your emotions feel negative and bad more of the time. Whereas if you were to choose to understand that and go, you know, I want to be away from that and find other people, or even just be by myself, you know, for a little bit to get away with that and regroup, get away from that and regroup. But to understand that also the emotions that you're generating, like, then will affect others. Sometimes just being around somebody, I mean, you know, like being around somebody that's like just in a really great mood, super upbeat and easy to talk to and curious about you, like, can raise the way that you feel. So if you want to wield those kinds of emotions, good feelings, like, how do you get yourself feeling that way first and foremost? And what actions can you take to get yourself there? And then how do they tie in to everything above? You know, how am I gonna get what I want on my, you know, number 3 wants list if I'm not also thinking about the emotions that are tied to those wants, right? So, I mean, a lot of people may disagree with me about this. Like, I've heard, I mean, there's a whole thing right now in the self-improvement industry about, like, discipline, and I agree with this. You know, you show up, you do what you want to do, no matter how, I mean, you chip away and you be consistent no matter how you feel, right? Which is great and fine, but if you haven't done this work and you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, you're not sure it's coming from a deep place that comes from you. It might be coming from someone else, or society, or something you thought you wanted. And then you don't know what kind of character traits you're attaching to the things that you do. And you don't know what kind of emotions you may feel out of those things. Well, okay, maybe you feel crappy day after day. The odds that you then consistently do it go down. If you can control your feelings, your emotions, well, I would take that on whatever I'm doing. If I'm doing an ice bath every day and I actually have figured out, because of my work before, my deep work here, and I've actually figured out how to make myself feel like I love this and actually feel those feelings of real like joy and momentum and excitement to do it. If I can figure that out, why not? Sure, am I going to have the days that I don't want to do it, and I have to do it anyway, because I also understand discipline and I understand the benefits of that? Sure. But I'm going to do everything I can to make myself feel amazing and understand the emotions that I'm wielding to achieve my goals and to affect others. I want to try to choose those as far as I can, as much as I can. It's the serenity prayer. Understand what you can control, basically. And control what you can. Control the controllables. And a lot of people, I think, err on the side of not understanding what there's a lot that we can affect, and there's, of course, a lot that we can't. So I'm also finding myself, even in my why, my main, bigger picture, number one, like, what do I believe in? There's this curiosity that I have about emotions and feelings. And I can't explain it, of course, because so there is no scientific, backing to this. And it's just a question, and it's a curiosity, and it's a part of my two as well. My why, large and small, is to like figure out, what this existence is, and what's the infinite is, and emotions and energy and feelings. I'm curious if they exist outside of a human body. And if there is some receiver, some way that when we generate these feelings that they connect and maybe even feed and feed back and forth energy, there's something I keep thinking about that. There's nothing else that, with my body, if there were no feelings, if I felt nothing, if I didn't, what would be the purpose? So I think that emotions are a curiosity of mine. That's why I put it in my, top 6 steps to explore as part of the foundations to self-mastery. And then 6, finally, what systems, actions, rules will you employ in order to feed pillars 1 through 5? So, let me see what time it is here. Okay. So this is this is the fun stuff for me, of where you'll have to I'm going to have to break out, and I'll do separate videos on these to give my examples of how I'm breaking it out. So to go back to the, I want to be physically fit and as physically fit and strong as I can possibly be at my age. What does this look like? My next one is actually I want to be involved with and play at least 3 sports at any given time extracurricularly. So, when I look at those 2 things, and I've looked at what character traits do I want to attach to those things? How do I define myself in terms of like how I play or how I go about training? Like it informs it. Like imagine, if I say, it's important to me to give it 1,000%, well, then that informs, how I train. Then maybe I'm also looking at, well, I'm a little older now, so I also have to be cognizant of, I'm not in my 20s able to recover faster. I'm not in my 30s able to recover faster. So I don't want to knock myself out of the water. While going 1,000% is important to me, also doing enough that pushes my thresholds, understanding my threshold, not putting me out of commission for 2 or 3 weeks. So it'll inform me, my character traits will be able to go in there. The emotions that I feel will be able to go in there, both in like the sports that I want to play, even extracurricularly. How do I want to be when I come up against, when I'm getting beat by somebody I think I should be, beating in whatever, a race or pickleball or, tennis or just some of the things that I play, then, how do I want to handle that? The character traits I want to be cognizant of and specific, as well as the emotions I'm trying to amplify out of being involved with these things. And then the system, all right, so that's what we're talking about. So the systems and actions and rules that I employ will look something like this. Like I haven't done this work yet, but if I want to be as physically fit and strong as I can be, well, I'm going to build a system that slowly works my way into being like that. Now, I personally have some, lower back, hip tightness issues that I've noticed, especially recently. If I start doing, some push-ups, if I do a good amount of push-ups, like the next day, I have some kind of lower hip, lower back issue. So tightness in my hips. And so I'm gonna need to work that out. After I run, I'm feeling it in my hips, my groin, just a lot of tightness. So I think my mobility and hip flexors, I need to loosen all that stuff up. I'm gonna build a system that starts there slowly. I'm probably gonna build a warm-up system for everything. I'm gonna set all kinds of, broken out little step-by-step actionable checklists. And I think the checklists are super important. I think in the beginning, they're gonna be tiny. And when I say tiny, I mean tiny. I think it's again, this is for the long haul, and I want to make it super easy to do. So the steps day by day will be really small. It might be 5 minutes of hip stretching. I might even start the first couple days with 1 minute, because that's super achievable. And there's something amazing about just getting the ball rolling and having a low commitment. I'll probably end up doing a little more than that. And I've already experimented with that a little bit with like meditation and stuff. It's like literally putting on checklist 1 minute. And it usually ends up going a little longer. But if you have a lot of things that you're doing, chip away like that until you can expand and get a good enough time under your belt. I hope this has given you a good understanding of the foundations and the pillars. And we will keep refining this. Again, this is ground up building. Leave any comments if you have any experience with this or you have any thoughts about it. Would love to hear from you about how far you are in your journey of self-mastery. I'm here to experiment with myself and I will share with you my progress. I can tell you, this week, beginning January 1, just the commitment to these videos has been empowering. It's been eye-opening, and it really is true that, if you can keep things going and build momentum, regardless of how they turn out, you're going to learn something, and you're going to feel good about yourself, and it's going to lead to positive outcomes. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.